Hello, and welcome back to the Beyond the Coach podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kelsey Nonini.
And I'm Crispy.
And every time I do that intro, I'm like, I really need to get better about, having a little bit more pizzazz in there. Like, I want to talk about what the podcast is all about. But then I proceed to not put them together. So maybe one day, I'll put it together.
We'll figure it out.
Regardless, we've stayed consistent on our podcast outside of the beginning of this year for, reasons, good valid reasons. So it feels pretty good to just not, give up on it. It's good to just have like a weekly yap.
A weekly app. We love it. It's our therapy session. Welcome to therapy, everybody.
Yes. Welcome to therapy. Today though is more of an educational podcast, not as much yappy. We've had a lot of yappy in the beginning of the year. It actually is inspired from someone that came to us, another coach, and was basically just kind of like presented us with like, hey, I saw this in Beyond the Cert. We, teach a lot of things within our Beyond the Cert course. I'll drop the link in the show notes if you're interested on checking it out. Just a shameless plug there. But she's like, hey, I saw this in the course that your brain utilizes 130 grams of glucose per day alone, just your brain. Is this true? And if so, like my coach has me at 80 grams of carbs a day. And I was like, okay. Asked a few more questions. Now, I want to first state there are reasons why you may be low carb. Sometimes if there's like a gut issue, or maybe we're experiencing, or we're like noticing that there's maybe some insulin resistance, there's ways to like go keto in a very short period of time, or go low carb in a short period of time. I actually don't coach that way, but I know there's other people who do use that strategy, and there's a reason for it at times. For this specific person, there was literally zero reason to have her there, which we'll get into. But also, 80 grams of carbs isn't even keto either. It's like, it's too many carbs to actually be keto. So there's literally no reason, in my opinion, to be there.
In my head, you were about to be like, it's just, and I was about to be like, it's just a waste of time. It's just, why are we?
And it's not even like her fats were really high either. That was the other part that got me. Her fats are at 50. So I'm like, your fats aren't at 100 to where, yeah, you're like, higher fat, lower carb. It's just simply low. Her stats, she's 122 pounds, 4'11", 31 years old. Now, she's small. Like, she's a petite little gal. Still no reason to be where she's at.
I was literally doing the math, like the caloric math of how much she's eating, and I was like, wow,
1,400 calories. Yeah. So I overviewed everything for her, kind of calculated out like an estimated BMR, an estimated TDEE. And upon diving more into this, because I kind of just did a deep dive with her, this is the stuff that literally like, it just gets me going. Like, it really was like a cup of coffee for me this morning. It gets the people
shot of espresso.
I was like, oh, let's go. I had my Alani Nu. I was pounding that down. Baby was sleeping. I was like, I'm going to dive into this. Like, this stuff just, it lights me up. I love it. I also hate it for people that are subject to it. Like, why? There's a few different directions that I could go with this. It could just be a whole rant about like, maybe her coach needs coaching from us. But I guess background on her too. Like, I learned a lot about this after diving in. She was a competitor, which I was not aware of. She used to compete. She told me about her like meal plan that like she's on now. And I'm like, dude, you're basically being treated like a competitor right now. Like, and you're not competing. What? For why? One huge thing that she mentioned was she loves oatmeal. She said she used to have like a persona of being like the overnight oat girl and used to love it. Like when she got into her...
Does she not eat overnight oats anymore?
Well, that's not what her meal plan is. It's an egg white omelet with turkey bacon. And that's it. No carbs. Her coach also doesn't pay attention to fiber. And I'm like, when we're thinking about the hierarchy of food, it's like calories, protein, fiber. Like, no one's talking about fiber, and is why, well, not no one. I will say the good coaches are talking about fiber. The reason why we all have fucked up guts right now is because of 2017 and before, when we all were dieting, just caring about protein, high protein this and high protein that, and not giving a shit about fiber. So it's crazy to me that this is still happening. Like, you think we're past this like phase, and I'm like, where are these people learning these things? Like, where did she learn to set her macros here? Now, given like her BMR, I calculated it out, it's probably around 1175 calories. It's lower because she's a smaller person. But TDEE, she's training 5 days a week, lifting 45 minutes, 5 days a week.
Jesus.
5 cardio sessions at 20 minutes a week. Her coach wants her doing 25, but she's doing 20. And I'm like, hey, like, okay, given that's that's 100 minutes per week. The like guidelines state 150 minutes per week is good, but that's for someone who's eating enough food.
The average person eating a sufficient amount for their body to uphold that standard of activity. That doesn't include her steps. Did you say her steps or anything?
They're about 8,000.
Okay.
And she has two kids that are younger, so like chasing them around, also running her own business. And so you place like all those different stressors. Like 8,000 steps is still a lot. It's still a good amount. Even if she was sedentary a good portion of the day, but still getting those 8,000 steps, still getting in the cardio, still getting in the list, still getting in the momming, still getting in the stress of being a CEO, like all those things add up. They're all part of her TDEE. And so I kind of calculated it like on the average size. It's like she's exercising, 4-5 times a week. So tried multiplying her BMR by 1.5, and I was kind of just being a little bit more on the safe side because she has been under eating. I think that's also something she brought up was like, hey, I'm going to just increase my calories to 150 carbs. And one thing like I think that is really important to keep in mind is she's almost doubling her carbs. So like that's another point is like, yeah, I'm not opposed to that, but you're also probably going to bloat a ton. It's actually something I didn't even really like touch on because I was so focused on her increasing food, which I might need to like bring back around to her of like, hey, maybe we start at like 120 and go from there. But yeah, it's just so interesting to me. I'm like, I just don't understand. A few other things her coach said that kind of like just gave me, and I don't like to shit on other coaches, but when you're doing a shitty job, I feel like you kind of need to be shit on in a way. Like, I want to support
Just
coaches. I want to help.
a little humbled in the industry. We've all been humbled by it.
Yeah.
It's like, but
Yeah.
again, these are the type of coaches that unfortunately are like, I know what I'm doing. I may need to pause myself for 1 second because I think my camera might be here and I might need to go sign for it.
All right. Well, Chris's camera did not come. So.
Sorry, guys. What I was saying was these are the type of coaches that are, get on calls with Kelsey and I, and, we've had this happen before where they're like, I'm good. Like, I know my stuff, my clients see results, yada, yada, yada. But they're just a little stuck in their ways. And it gets a little frustrating when Kelsey and I then hear stories like this because coaches can be better. And I think we need to admit for all of us that we can probably be better in some way, shape, or form. Like I had a call with one of my coaches today who just does mentorship with me. And we got into this whole discussion about embodiment. And he was like, I think I need to add on the fitness and nutrition side. Like it was, even though when he first signed on, he was like, I'm feeling good, all this stuff.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of conversations to find out he's actually not feeling really good. And we actually need to work on this. And he has been struggling to coach his clients through it because he's not doing it himself. So there's just so many different avenues of it. But I think what really ticks me off sometimes is just when coaches are like, I'm good, I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, so do all of your clients. Like, so does every single lead that's probably getting on a call with you too.
Yep. Yep. And I think too, so like this coach, she told her coach, she's like, hey, like 80 grams is too, she had like a call with her. She's like, it's too low. Like, I'm just not feeling good. She also came to us and was like, I'm lacking energy. She's also just kind of like, we had our call with her and she's very just like dysregulated. And I think she would agree if you're listening to this, I think you would agree. Just feeling a little bit of dysregulation, and it's not also your fault. Like being at 80 grams of carbs is so stinking low. She's also set to 130 grams of protein. So like I get the high protein craze, but there's no reason to be set at that amount when you're 122 pounds. And your goal is also to like lose weight. The difference between 110 and 130 grams of protein isn't really making a difference, to be completely honest with you. So she's 122. We want to be anywhere from zero point 0.8 to 1.2 pounds per pound. 0.8 to 1.2 grams of carbs. Anywhere from zero point 0.8 to 1.2 grams of carbs per pound of body weight. Grams of protein per pound of body weight. My goodness gracious. So that would be anywhere from 97 to 146 grams. I would somewhere meet in the middle and just do like 120 grams. Even 120 grams of protein would be great. I would even, if I was setting her stuff, I would be at 110. But that's something I advised her for. I was like, hey, I would honestly just drop your carbs to 100 or your protein to 120 to give more space for carbs and fats, because right now your brain isn't functioning to its full capacity because it doesn't have the fuel to do it. The protein, yes, it's great for muscle mass, but if you're not eating enough overall calories, the protein does not matter. And like given she's not under her BMR, she's still eating over her BMR. 1,400 calories is fine for someone like her, but I think it's just a matter of looking at what the makeup of that is. And I feel like with those calories, it doesn't make sense. 520. Did you look it up?
It was 720 calories, I think, for the carbs and the fats together. Because I didn't know her protein, but for 1,400,
okay, she's at 1,290 calories.
I was going to say, because she would have needed to be at 157 protein, 157, 158 for her to be at 1,400.
Yeah, she's definitely at 1,290 calories. So I was not 1,400.
And I think a lot of the times with this too, is it's kind of like, she's eating, above BMR or whatever, you're like in this deficit range, but are you seeing what you want to see at such a low deficit? And are you like you're going to feel something in a deficit. You're going to feel something when you're eating a lower amount of food, but like, is it worth it to that? Like, is it truly worth to be eating that little? And, sometimes it's just like, we're so dysregulated and we're so stressed out as coaches that like, yeah, it is nice to hand it off and trust someone else with the process. But I also think it's okay to question it as a coach too, and to be like, hey, I have some question marks behind this. Like, I want to know a little bit more. And yeah, that's just shocking, actually, thinking of those numbers.
And like at the end of the day, so what I mentioned to her too initially was because she was mentioning 130 grams of glucose. Like, carbs are obviously the body's main preferred source. It's the easiest conversion to glucose. There is a route where fats are also converted to glucose for energy. It's just a longer process. It's going to be a slower digesting process, but your body prefers carbs. And so, yeah, I understand where, especially with someone that's small like her, you would need to get low in carbs. But do you need to get to 80 when you're keeping fat protein so high? Because now what's going to happen is she's under eating to lose body fat, obviously. There's a reason for that, right? But like the protein being that high, there's not a reason for it, because now your body is trying to convert that for energy. It's not even utilizing it for your muscles. So I'd rather it be a quicker process. Swap out some of that protein in a deficit. Honestly, you could do it down, like I said, 110, even 100 grams would still be enough. And actually like give those 30 grams of protein that you're going to take away to carbs. You could also drop fats. I mean, fats, it's tough. Like 50, I think, is still a good number. She could drop to 40, but as a woman like in her 30s, yeah, I understand the importance of keeping that up for hormonal health. So there's just a lot of things to do. And I think too, she's been at it for what gets me is she talked to the coach and the coach was like, this is why I don't like macros. Like that's what the coach said. So she's giving her a meal plan. She's making her eat 7 meals a day. I'm like, for what reason? And she's like, because she sent me over this video going over it. And she's like, hey, like she's making me eat 7 meals a day. I get like, I'm sorry if that's how you would coach. She said that to me. And I was like, I would never tell you to eat 12. So at the time I thought it was 1,400 calories. That's what she had told me. I just never did the calculation. I would never tell somebody to have 1,290 calories and 7 meals a day, because that is 184 calories per meal, which is not a meal. what I told her was if you're going to eat that low of calories, I would want you eating 3 big meals a day and maybe a snack.
Mhm.
400, 450 calories per meal. I mean, knowing that she's at 1290, it would probably be more like 350 to 400. Um, 350 to 400 calories per meal, and then the rest for a snack. Like, it just doesn't make sense in my head. And then to your point, you're like, why wouldn't you just eat oats? This is why I hate meal plans, because she's like, I love oats in the morning and I can't eat oats. This is the issue with meal plans is if she wants oats, and if that was her whole persona, she's like, I love overnight oats, they're my shit, like I was the overnight oat queen. Why is that not still your persona? Because someone told you have to eat egg, and that is my biggest pet peeve with coaching is I get giving ideas, I get giving like inspo, right? Like have this, but like in the morning too, your body needs carbs. Like that is the time you should be having carbs. You just broke a fast. You need to be eating. You need to
Is
be
she
eating them
working
carbs.
out in the morning? When is she working out?
I actually don't know. I actually asked her that in the video. I was like, hey, if you're eating, like if you're working out, because then she mentioned she has like a protein shake and an apple post workout. And I was like, there's just not enough. There's not enough to like refuel what you just did, especially if you're lifting and doing 20 minutes of cardio. Um,
Is she
and so
seeing the progress she wants to see?
again, what I asked, and she's like, she was like, I am just not energized enough. Like I'm just feeling so like she actually like showed me
Then,
some
yeah.
pictures of like when she loved her physique most. She was super lean. Um but like she's like now I'm just like I still see some results, and but like this is where it nerves me as she's in her early 30s. So she still has time before she's going to go into perimenopause, but when you aren't building muscle mass, especially in your 30s, and she wants to, she's like, I would love to be like lean, but also strong. When you aren't doing that, you're literally in these formative years leading yourself into being under muscle. Under muscled, that's not even a word, but I'm going to use it because we all understand what I'm
Under
saying.
muscle.
Under
Yes.
muscled. You're not going to have enough muscle going in. You're under eating in a time where you actually should be eating majority of your time at maintenance. And she's only been in this deficit since January. So it's not like, it's not dangerous, right? But I just think like there's a potential with bodybuilding background, all of that, that she just hasn't built the optimal amount of muscle to, lean out. And that's something like I told her, I was like, I straight up would stay at 1800 calories, maybe even more for a year. I would stay at or above maintenance for a year. Get your energy back, focus on building muscle. I think energy is the biggest thing. Like that's the biggest red flag is like, yes, you're gonna be low energy in a deficit. Like you're going to be hungry and you're not going to have as much
Yeah.
energy. That is normal. But when you're having brain fog and you're not able to use your brain properly, especially as a coach, the stress you're just placing on your body is going to far outweigh the results you're going to get in a fat loss phase.
Well, and I was about to say, and for what? For the cost of it being mediocre results, like not seeing the entirety of what you want to see. Because I was just thinking, yeah, just like the mental load that she's carrying, obviously, in a day to day with being a coach and everything that she has to do, plus being a mom. It's like it, and then she can't even be intentional with her workouts because she's so drained, she's so fatigued. It's like your workouts are kind of for nothing, and like your cardio is kind of for nothing if you're not able to still push yourself to a certain capacity. Obviously, it's not, in a deficit, the time for us to be like, oh, let's double down and do this progressive overload in a super intense way. But like, you should still be able to have an intensity factor to it. And her body is just going off of fumes where it can right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. So like where I'm at and where what I've kind of worked through in my head, I'm like, hey, like I understand at the end of the day, we have to restrict calories. We have to be that's a deficit. Our deficit is restrictive. She wants to lose body fat. Awesome. How we go about it matters too. And like just the meal plan she showed me just doesn't make sense.
I'm still stuck on the coach being like, this is why I don't do macros, or this is why I don't do
Yeah.
this, because I'm like,
She's like, this is why I don't like macros. And then so she brought it up to her on the call and she's like, okay, then increase to 110 grams of carbs. And this is where I'm like, there's no plan. The way she
that
set
coach is
this up,
giving no rhyme or reason.
I guarantee this is what it is. The coach has some template of like, okay, the person weighs this amount, this height, this age. There's some sort of table she's looking at that says, okay, so
Yeah.
here. Okay, work done. This is what calories she should be at. Okay, now I have a meal plan specifically for that, whatever. Like, I'm guaranteeing there is some sort of, she's apparently a bodybuilding coach, which I was like, could have guessed that. And like, I have no beef with bodybuilding. To be a good bodybuilding coach, you actually have to be incredibly knowledgeable. You also need to be incredibly knowledgeable to understand that the average lifestyle person is not competing for a bodybuilding competition. Like, I think,
Well, and that's where a lot of bodybuilding coaches struggle. That's where we see a lot of, we don't work with competitors, but I've worked with people who have either been post show, like post their bodybuilding career, come in and, they really struggle because, or they tried to work, I should say this, they tried to work with their bodybuilding coach for lifestyle. They're like, oh, I'm going to go and, work with the same person that I trusted to get me this amazing, crazy transformation. But then there's this gap. Like, I always find that with the bodybuilding community, like there is a gap in, I don't want to say all the coaches, but the ones that I at least have seen clients transfer off of, is like there is that lack of understanding what a true lifestyle actually looks like for some people and what the goal of that is. And how to sustain that, how to help someone sustain a lifestyle that isn't the bodybuilding mentality.
yep. And to that point, it's just like, it's dangerous, I think, when you don't. And it's the same thing. Like, I'm a lifestyle coach. I do coach for performance, specifically for people to reach performance goals. I personally would never coach somebody in bodybuilding. It would be unsafe for me to do. There's a whole science behind it that I am not. I have no idea what goes on there. Like, I almost competed myself. I'm actually really glad I didn't. I'm really glad that I tore my ACL and was forced to not compete, to be honest. That's crazy to say. Really glad that I had to get surgery before.
Silver lining.
Really glad I was dancing at my wedding with a torn ACL. By that point, it was fine. But funny to say that, crazy, but it's true. I'm really glad that experience happened, because I think too, like, bodybuilding really does do a lot of things to our mind for the future of body image. But with that, that's a total side tangent. I would never coach somebody for bodybuilding. And I think the same goes for, like, having a niche in coaching is so freaking important. I don't even know, like, I've coached people that have done bodybuilding way in the past, but if someone was coming off of a show, I wouldn't coach them either. I wouldn't feel right in doing that and being able to properly take them out. I would actually refer them to somebody who coaches bodybuilders and I know can safely and effectively reverse somebody out of, like, such intense dieting, because there is potential for cycle loss, hormonal issues, a whole slew of things that, like, I actually would feel extremely unknowledgeable in being able to safely do that. Could I figure it out? Absolutely. But it's not something that I actually have any interest in trying to figure out. And, like, there's people that do that, right? If you have performance goals, hello, hi, it's me, I can do that. But I think the same goes for bodybuilding coaches. It's like, hey, you need to just stay in your lane. If you want to coach competitors, awesome. If you want to learn how to coach for lifestyle and do both, then absolutely do that, but actually learn how to do it, because a lifestyle deficit and a bodybuilding deficit are completely different things. Yeah. Lifestyle does not have to be extreme.
Yeah, there's too much of this feeling of like, bodybuilding is superior. It's a superior skill. And by having that, then you can automatically coach someone else. It's like, no. I mean, even for physical therapists, I know a lot of physical therapists who are like, all because I am a physical therapist doesn't mean that I can actually coach someone the way that I want to. Like, we've had PTs come through our program where it's like, I want to learn how to coach people. Like, all because I have this huge title and qualification doesn't mean that I just know how to do it. It's like, that should be the same for bodybuilding. So, I mean, I could have guessed that this coach was a bodybuilding coach just the moment that I saw 80 grams of carbs written on in a message.
Yeah. It's just, I can't even think. I literally eat that in a meal. Given I'm also breastfeeding and working on performance-based stuff, but, like, I eat, there's times I'll have 100 grams of carbs at breakfast.
Yeah.
Like, I can't picture only having that amount or telling somebody to do that. It left me speechless. So that's basically what I wanted to chat about today, and kind of the direction I gave her. I gave her a few different options, and I think that this can just be good for someone to hear of, like, how do we help somebody through when they're under eating? One big piece I know I mentioned at the beginning of the show was, like, or towards the beginning of our conversation, she mentioned wanting to increase her carbs to 150 grams. And I just advised her to be careful with that, because you're now going from 80 grams to 150. You're almost doubling your carbs being that your carbs are so low already, your body's going to have a really hard time tolerating all of a sudden doubling them. And so being very careful, it's kind of similar to what we see with like long distance runners that are having a ton of they're having 400, 500 grams of carbs a day. When they go from 200 to now that amount all of a sudden because they're training, they can have GI distress because now their body's having to process so much more. And so what I mentioned to her was like, hey, I would actually potentially advise you to start at like 110 to 120 grams of carbs. Is that optimal? Not necessarily right away, but again, we have fats as a fuel source. You have protein, unfortunately, as a fuel source. We don't want to use that as energy, but it can be an energy source right now. Start there and then work up after a couple of weeks. Give your body a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks to start to get used to that 120 grams of carbs. And even that 40 carbs, you're already increasing by 50%. Like you're already, that's a big increase already. Play around with that, sit there for a bit, then increase again, increase to the 150, sit there for a bit. But I advised her to eventually work up to like 1,800 calories. I gave her a couple options where we have a split of like 27 protein. And then it was, one of them was being at 41% carbs, 32% fat, or like 46% carbs, 27% fat. Typically, a generalized rule of thumb, it can look different for everyone. I typically like to be anywhere from 25 to 35% protein, depending on the goal. Same thing for fat, excuse me. I typically like to be at 25 to 35%. You can play around with 20 to 30%, but it's typically rule of thumb where I like to be. And then the rest are carbs, where I like to be at like 40 to 50% carbs. If you're performance-based, you're for sure at 50% carbs or more. And so that's just a general rule of thumb. And I kind of advise her to work slowly up to that. And like I said, be there for a year. I think it's far too long, or far too many people aren't willing to sit and be just at maintenance for a year. And that's why you're not seeing the progress. And like, I know a year seems so long, but think about like, you're going to heal your relationship with food.
It's going to pass anyways.
Literally.
That's what I always say. I'm like, a year can pass of you trying to push your body to do something. Like I had to do this past year because it was literally coming up on a year that like everything had happened to me in February. Like I had started a deficit literally a year ago and I got the flu, the scooter accident, everything happened at once. And I was like, I need to give my body a year. Like I need to and I decided that I was like, the year is going to pass anyways. I can continue to be at war with my body and feel like I put in a year of effort for nothing and have, again, mediocre results to show for it. Or I could spend a year healing, resetting, working on my mental health, enjoying life, just doing what I need to do, letting life be busy, all of that, embracing maintenance, mastering maintenance how I need to. And then guess what? In a year, I can reconvene. And that's what I'm doing right now. It's like the time will pass anyways, and you're either going to be fucking miserable with that time trying to push something your body doesn't want, or you can actually be happier with that time because you're at least in maintenance and not fucking up every single weekend because you're depleted and like can't stick to a plan. Like there's just timelines piss me off. I'm like,
they do. It's like something that like I just have no problem telling someone no, like we're not cutting. Like I had to have this conversation with a client yesterday, and I actually have a story series planned out for that I'm going to post tonight. I like put it together last night.
I think this whole conversation should be a story series for you too.
Oh my gosh,
you have so much content.
I have so much passion about this. It's my favorite topic because if you know anything about me, I literally should put this in my bio of like maintenance is sexy as fuck. Like that's just like my literal whole personality. Fun fact, I've actually been technically in maintenance since the fall of 2022. I did like a very, very small deficit, but it was only bringing calories to like maintenance because I was kind of like, I was essentially in a surplus in like the fall of 24, and I wanted to lean out a little for a couple weddings I was in or I was attending. And so we just brought it down. I think the lowest I got was like 2,100 calories, and I like leaned out. And like that, given I've only had performance goals, I haven't necessarily had weight loss goals because I feel like for so long I focused on, and this is just me. Everybody is different. But the moment that I stopped focusing on when I was going into the next deficit, I actually felt the best I've ever felt in my body but people don't give themselves enough time to be at maintenance.
Can I also add to that too? I think
Yeah,
by allowing yourself to be out of a deficit for that long, it allows you to teach maintenance way better and hold a different authority stance with maintenance
100%.
and with teaching reverse dieting. Because this went into my conversation with my coach client that I was working with earlier today, because he really needs to start emphasizing maintenance. He needs to start preaching it. We're noticing that his
Yeah,
client retention is kind of suffering because he's only emphasizing one piece of the puzzle of nutrition periodization, and that is fat loss. And he's like, why won't any of my clients stay with me past that? I'm like, well, are you teaching them that? Are you talking about it? Are you framing it? Are you living it? Are
yeah,
you doing it? And we had a really great conversation where he was like, I struggle because I have never successfully just done what, like, been in maintenance for a year. I've never
that's
successfully done
crazy.
it. He's like, I stay there for 9 months, or not 9 months, 90 days. He's like, and then I kind of just drop off. Then I just stop tracking. Then I just whatever. And then I go back into a deficit and I get really shredded. And I'm like, you're falling into the same cycle your own clients are. And it was a really good conversation.
So
Literally, he
good.
just like thumbs up to me during the call. Like, I stopped talking. I think I took him to church. I was like, welcome to Sunday service. We're
Nice.
going, we're praising up. All right. Like, let's go. And I just stopped talking and he just goes, two thumbs up to the screen.
That
I
was
was
so
like,
funny.
got it. But that's such a piece of this element, and
Yeah.
this all ties into, what sparked all of this with this conversation with this coach, because it's like, then you have coaches who just really struggle to coach their clients through a
Mhm.
certain thing. And it's like, well, it's because you haven't gone through it. You haven't embodied it. You haven't pulled yourself out of a deficit. You haven't sat in maintenance for a year. Sat in maintenance for a year and continue to track, right? Not
Yeah,
this whole, oh, I'm going to
yeah,
reverse diet myself and then just stop tracking altogether. And all of a sudden you're under eating again and your
yeah.
physique's back at step one. There's so many different soapboxes I get with this, but
Oh,
it's
so
just
many.
how it's just this cycle. It's this cycle in the industry. And I see it with coaches, and there is no shame in it because it is a learned thing. We've learned it for ourselves. And I got stuck in that too. I was so used to, between 2019 and 2022, 2023, being in this periodization of this cycle. Okay, I cut and then I reversed and then I did a bulk and then I cut and then I reversed and then I did. And it was just this cycle of every single year it being that. And for the last couple of years, I haven't done that and I've had to focus on other stuff. But I get it because we were there. It's a learned response. It's the era that we were in 2020, where everyone was doing if it fits your macros. 2015, even 2016, like, it's been around for 12, I don't know, 11 years now.
Yeah.
So it's just, I say all this to empathize with saying I see where the struggle is mentally for coaches to be like, I don't know how to pull myself out of this, but like, something's got to give and nothing's going to change if nothing changes at the end of the day. And you have to almost like be the change. Like, you have to start with yourself in order to allow your clients to like get that impact too.
Yeah, it's 100% why I have no problem with talking to clients about it and like, and just being able to like reason with them of like, hey, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the other side of this. I got on the other because that's the same way. I was, cutting into a bulk, into a reverse diet, and like, yeah, I looked great, but honestly, I far much more love my body prior to getting pregnant. That was my favorite physique, and I hadn't cut for a year and a half. And there's certainly days right now where I'm like, oh, I just really want to go into a deficit. But between breastfeeding and performance goals, like that's not an option for me right now. And I think being able to have the backbone as a coach, because you've done it yourself, to tell people it's not the right time. Like, and I'm sure there is times as a coach where sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and be like, you know what? Sure, let's put you into a deficit. And it's almost like
Yep.
I will show you that that's not the right time. I've done that as a coach. Do I think it's the
Amen.
best strategy? I don't think it is the best strategy, but I think sometimes you have to do it when a client's like, I want to cut. And they literally, because I'm at the point where it's like, you either are going to tell them no and they're going to do it anyway, or you're going to be like, let's try it out. And when it doesn't work, you're going to listen to me and do it my way because I'm the
Mhm.
coach here. Like, I know what I'm talking about. The reason you aren't seeing results is because you haven't built up enough muscle mass in your maintenance. You haven't been consistent at maintenance, like you said. Like, you're not tracking at maintenance. I've tracked this
Mhm.
whole. There was directly postpartum for like 5 weeks, 4 weeks, and then like the last 3 weeks of pregnancy, I did not track. So what? Like over the course of the last 4 years, I haven't tracked for 7 weeks. And given like, I get it, tracking isn't fun. it's not fun to have to weigh out my shit all the time, but like that's how I've stayed consistent. Has there been days I don't track? Yeah. But like
Of course.
tracking at maintenance,
But
it's
your
easy.
days that you haven't tracked, the allowance for that is that you have spent so long tracking at maintenance
Hmm.
that you have a skill set where you don't need to. If you don't
Yep.
want to, you can take vacations, you can take days, you can take whatever. But
100%.
dude, if I'm in the mundane of my house, what extra effort is it for me to open up an app when
It's
we
not
open
hard.
up 12,000 other apps in a day to just plug and play food that's probably already in the app, by the way, because I eat a lot of the same shit. It's like it's already in there. It's a plug and play system. That's all it is. But people just, we get lazy, get a little lazy.
100%. So yeah, I think this got a little bit out of what we were talking about with this client, but you're right in the sense that like, she was talking to us about a lot of clients who just don't,
Hmm.
oh,
Oh, Deacon
unhappy
also does.
baby. He woke
Deacon's
up from
like,
a nap.
this is how
He's
I
like,
feel.
oh my gosh, I'm alone. Um, we were talking to her and having a conversation about how she has a lot of clients who don't adhere and who just kind of
Hmm.
fall off of her program. And when you're not embodying it, it's a lot harder to coach it. And I think that is, at the end of the day, that's the point. Like, I can
Yeah.
coach for performance and I can coach for maintenance and I can put people in structured deficits at the right time because that's something I embody. I have never coached on something that I either haven't or wouldn't do myself. Like
Yeah.
there's times where it's not always like I've coached for a lot of weight loss and I've helped people lose 60 plus pounds. I personally have never had to do that myself, but if I needed to, I would know how to do it the proper way.
Hmm.
And same thing for like gut issues, that kind of stuff. Like I've had the support of our functional teams. I've learned how to do it myself. I've never specifically had to solve it myself, but I would know how to and I would have the proper strategies to do it because I've educated myself to do it. And that's the way I would do it myself. Like I would never
Hmm.
tell somebody like, oh, you can, completely um, lose weight without tracking a thing ever. Because I've just never had experience of being able to properly do that myself because you're
Hmm.
not held accountable to the data. It's all data. And so, like, we all have our own strategies in coaching, but I think that the embodiment of what you're coaching on is so, so important. And your clients feel that. And it's also a lot easier to let your clients off easy and let them kind of hold the driver's seat and your passenger princess when you aren't doing those things yourself.
Yeah. I also just even think of the energetic side of it where it's like you start to build resentment, you start to build frustration towards clients who aren't getting it, who aren't doing it. And it's so easy to point a finger at a client than it is to point fingers at ourselves and to say, hey, you're probably frustrated at that client for asking for yet another deficit after you already possibly explained to them about a reverse diet and all this stuff. But it's like, there is an energetic side of that. And if you haven't worked through it yourself, you probably don't know how to appropriately have the conversation with the client
Yeah.
because you haven't had it with yourself yet. You haven't had to have that. And so I love that you got to have like the hard conversation with this coach because that's going to make her already be a better coach, like just to understand that and to apply it to herself and hopefully be able to apply that to clients and for her to even see like how you went about like calculating things or showing it to her, like displaying it to her, talking her through it. It's like that goes a really long way when it comes to just being an embodied coach.
100%. And I think too, I'll say something that's probably a little bit unpopular. Um, if I had, so I actually did have to cancel with my coach last spring. I think I only had like a month and a half left, but I got pregnant and I just like wasn't in the place to be with a powerlifting coach. And so I paid the cancellation fee. It was like 50%. That's what I feel like generally is the
Everybody.
industry standard. If I was unhappy with a coach, to be honest, I would just pay the cancellation fee. Like I like that's my advice. If you are either a client or a coach and you're unhappy with your coaching, first of all, you made the choice to invest. So like that's what we always tell people if they're trying to cancel the program early. We've had people who just aren't a good fit with Apex and they aren't ready to be held to like the standard that we're holding our clients to, and we've had people quit. I think every coach has had to, like if you're a coach who's like, I've never had someone quit my program, you're lying. Be honest. You've had people quit your program. But we make them pay the cancellation fee because here's the thing, you signed up for this in the first place.
Mhm.
regardless if the coach is good or not, you made the choice to invest in them. If you need to be in a place where you're going to better yourself and you need to be in a place that's going to take better care of you than what you're getting currently as a coach, cancel. Like that's if
Mhm.
I was in that position right now and I had and I had a coach who was just doing stuff that I'm like, whoa, like you totally market differently online than what I thought I was getting. I'd be like, okay, I recognize, like, I made the choice to invest in you. But now I'm recognizing you're kind of a piece of shit and I need to cancel. Okay, that may be aggressive, but this isn't a good fit. Energetically, this is not an energetically good fit. I'm going to need to cancel. Like,
Mhm.
given if there's a whole situation where it's like, is maybe it was on the coach and there is there's times every once in a while where maybe
Yeah.
you could get away with being like, I don't want to pay the cancellation fee because you haven't held up your end of the bargain. That's a whole nother conversation. If they
Yeah.
aren't doing their job as a coach, then yeah, sure. Maybe you don't pay a cancellation fee and you just ask to be let off. But if both parties are doing the thing, you signed a contract saying you would pay 50%, I would do it. And I would eat the fact that I unfortunately just invested in the wrong person and it's a learning lesson. And then you're really
Yeah.
close or really careful about the future and finding the people who are going to support you and are going to put you in the best possible spot for your body because this is your health. It's you have to find people who are going to take care of you and not just continue to run your body into the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. It just does more damage than good at that point. So it's like canceling early cuts your losses, unfortunately, even though there is a loss in money, of course, but it does cut the loss of one, a full investment, the bigger investment side of things of being like, oh, I paid the entire contract and ended up in a worse place, but then also, again, ending up in just simply a worse place that you have to undo more and more of. So yeah, I canceled with a coach. I'm like, I canceled with someone that I thought was going to be an amazing fucking coach. Like huge following, runs their own certification, all this shit. Worst fucking coaching experience of my life. Like literally
So
would not do it
crazy.
again. Um, and then I went and hired a coach that I knew was going to be a better match for me. So
Yeah.
it happens. And I think you just need to learn the industry and trust the industry and get to understand that more.
Yeah, and I think too it's like you said, they had a big following, they had everything like that. That's why honestly for me, I'm like, I'm totally willing. Like for this coach, I sent her a full also I'm team Zoom clips now. I don't even know Loom
Dude,
anymore.
I
Who
need to
is
be my
she?
Loom. We've been
Dude, we
beefing.
gotta cancel Loom. I canceled
Yeah.
Loom. Well, because remember last year I paid it in full in March on accident. And so I'd been using my own instead of
Hmm.
having the Team Apex one. But anyways, I'm like, I'm already paying for Zoom.
Hmm.
I'm Team Zoom clips. Anyways, I sent her over a clip and I was going over everything. And I'm willing to do that as a coach because one, I'm going to show that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I
Hmm.
want to actually have people feel, if I need to, I will go above and beyond to prove to you that I will do a great job coaching you. My team, our team, the Apex team will do a great job coaching you. You will be taken care of here. And if you don't feel supported in that, I want to know why. I think that Chris and I both take really great pride in our coaching, in our coaches. We spend a ton of time with our coaching staff and even ourselves in bettering ourselves and making sure we're super knowledgeable. That's something I'm always willing to do is let me do a nutrition assessment for you. Let me do an audit
Hmm.
of what's going on. I want to show you that you will be taken care of here even if that's extra time. It's something I'm always willing to do, because I too have been wronged by certain coaching companies that I thought were going to be great and I just wasn't super supported. I've been on the
Yeah.
other side of that where I felt overly supported. um, and I think that's just something I want to make sure that we are showing the true value of what we provide because it is crazy what you're getting
Yeah.
with us at Apex.
It is. It is.
Just a
But
flex.
yes, no, actually. But I think that you just have to be smart with who you trust nowadays. And if something feels off, I ain't in the department of wasting my time anymore. So it's like, why waste your own and continue something that isn't working? So, and just having honest conversations with the misalignment too. So if this resonated, let us know because I know that this coach isn't the only one out there that's experiencing this, unfortunately. Um, and maybe it is just a sign for you guys to advocate for yourself, your health, and to recognize that even as a coach, like it's okay to sometimes be in those positions where we just have to like step up a little bit for the sake of our
Yep.
own body, for the sake of our own health.
Yep. Be your own advocate. So, man, this got so spicy. I feel like I got like, I just, I could go on all day. I could literally like talk for 3 hours straight about this stuff. Like, I feel like, so if you like these kind of podcasts, also let us know in the comments because we would love to do more stuff like this. And I know we talked about this prior to me going on maternity leave. We had done like a little case study, and we definitely want to bring back the case studies because I think that's also so helpful for coaches to hear of like, how would we solve this? And like Chris and I always say, we walked so you could run. So if you
Mhm.
like this, let us know. Otherwise, there is a link in the bio to Beyond the Cert and also to our coaching application. If it's something that you're interested in exploring, we can book a call with you, chat more, and see if it's a good fit.
Amazing.
Alrighty.
We'll
Thanks
see you in
for
the next
watching,
one.
guys, listening, whatever you did. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye,
Bye.
friends.